Welcome everybody to a brand new video from Haunting History.
And tonight's video is about the 1904 church.
So sit back, relax,
Grab some popcorn and a drink.
and enjoy.
And happy Halloween.
Just over a year ago, Rob Garcia and Justin Spurrier had invited us to film and investigate the Garnet House Hotel in which they had purchased some time prior. After several investigations and spending some time at the house, we were invited to visit and investigate their latest purchase, the 1904 church. At the time of this investigation, not much was known about this church, so we sat down with Justin and Rob to find out what information they had come up with.
Hi, I'm Rob Garcia. I am the co-owner of the 1904 church, where we currently are, and the 1858 Garnet House Hotel.
My name is Justin Spurrier. I'm co-owner of the 1904 church as well as the 1858 Garnet Hotel.
The church kind of popped up on our radar recently, within the last 3 months, that it was for sale, and we saw it and decided that we would investigate purchasing it, which we ended up doing. And it was a rather large location where we could, change it up a bit from the Garnet House, which is small, and kind of have an alternate type experience.
So I found this church before and looked at it, but I was too late. So when it came open this time, it was already on my radar from before, so I knew right away that I wanted to look a little closer at it. I really wanted to own it, whether or not it was haunted or not. That was kind of a bonus to me, but again, we started looking into the research just a little bit to find out the basics of it, but it seems to be so far that everything that's been here was always a church. It started as a Methodist Episcopal church in 1904, and it's changed hands many times and went through different religions, but for the most part, so far, we found that it's always been a church.
What drew me to the church was the very cool architecture and the stained glass windows that are still present in the church. Also, a lot of the woodwork inside is very cool, as well as all the pews that are still here.
You get a different feeling when you're in a building that's used to be something, but it's not now, but it still resembles, what it was in the past. So having all the pews and everything in place, it was just kind of an odd feeling, knowing that this was a place of worship, and now it's abandoned and has been. The man who I purchased it from is him and his wife, and they were actually living here. In fact, this was the sofa that they were kind enough to leave. They had this section as a house and were doing services behind me in the sanctuary, and something happened and they didn't like it here anymore, and they told me that there was a few things, but they kind of held back, almost like they were scared to tell me, whether it was for one reason that he was a minister and he wasn't supposed to believe or put any power into that, or if he just really wanted to sell it and get the heck out of here. But he told me a little bit, but he didn't tell me that until I had made mention of it at one point.
Well, the former owners had told us some of the things they experienced because they were living here as their residents. Things like people talking, shadow figures, noises, things like that going on. And they didn't like to go in certain parts of the church. Churches have a lot of spiritual activity. You're dealing with people's emotions. We don't know what type of events went on here, surrounding this place as far as in its history. And that's still to be explored. We're still going to look that information up, see what we can find. But, there's rumors, but, we don't know for sure exactly what could be causing any kind of paranormal activity here. But it seems to be going on.
So he didn't really tell me anything until I had made mention of it. I made light of the situation by cracking a ghost joke or something, because you're always walking on eggshells around ministers a lot of times when you talk about something like that. So when I said it, he said there was no ghost here. Well, there was, he said. You heard that?
Yeah.
I wasn't moving my feet. I was checking to see if you were looking at something. I didn't.
Behind me.
I hear that a lot, and with these fans going, sometimes it's kind of hard to hear those things. Now you got me listening. So it wasn't until after I said something and he said, no, nothing like that. He said there was, but I kicked him out. And then it wasn't until even later in the week, after I had been back a few times, I talked him into letting me put some equipment here while he still lived here. And I ran security cameras and audio setups in the basement and throughout this whole part of the home and in the attic or the church. And I picked up some remarkable things, and it was at that point that he said, well, there was a few other things I can tell you about, and so we did. You know, again, his beliefs and mine were entirely different. He did not believe, there was such thing as a ghost or a spirit. They were just strictly demons or, things of that nature with ill intentions. And maybe perhaps what is here could be some of that. But he told me of a story that he had done an exorcism. It was about 30 or 40 days before I was looking to purchase this. Let me say that part again. He had told me a story about 30 or 40 days before we were looking to purchase this. So his story says that he was performing an exorcism on a guy over here at the bottom of the stairs. And it was him and his wife and the guy they were exorcising and I think a couple helpers. And while he was performing the exorcism, he had dipped his fingers into the anointing oil and was about to touch the man on the temple when all of a sudden there was something so loud that the way they described it was it sounded like a piano hit the floor and ran up the stairs. Boom, scurried off. And it was at that moment, I guess, that things for him and his family seemed to turn a little uneasy. They were having a lot of things happen to them here in the church, being held down in their sleep, things slamming, all kinds of things.
I think we've really just begun to scratch the surface as far as finding out, what events maybe happened here, because this is a very small town, so that you're going to have to really dig very hard to find those events.
When I came in here with my equipment, while they were still living here, I did run audio in the basement and in the attic. I had a camera. I had things kind of spread out. I've got a lot of EVPs during that time, and I was able to verify a lot of things, as not being the family. Now, that's always a concern for me, is contamination, so I was really excited to do stuff when they were not here. But I remember one of the first things was I had placed a camera. It was a time-lapse camera in the attic, and I had a light shining up there so that it could see, and I had an audio recorder placed next to it. And I had been gone from this place for about 2 hours, according to the audio and the time-lapse camera. And the very first thing that I realized was an EVP was, like I said, about 2 hours after I left, there was a voice that says, either said goodbye camera or bye-bye camera, and then the time-lapse camera was actually shut off. It was still on, it was physically switched on, but it stopped recording. And I did not come back until the following afternoon to retrieve the items. And as the next thing that you see on that time-lapse camera is actually, you see me setting it up. It goes for 2 hours, which is, maybe 40 seconds of footage or whatever it equals to on a time-lapse. And then you see me picking up the camera as it starts recording immediately when I touch it, when I pick up the tripod. So there's all this lost time. And then there's an EVP that lined up exactly with that time mark that says goodbye camera. So that was interesting. I have witnessed shadow people on at least 3 occasions now that I could full on was looking at it. It wasn't the corner of the eye type of thing. I was looking in that general direction when something passed in front of one of the church windows, the stained glass windows. I have heard a lot of the footsteps that you may have heard a while ago. And one of the most recent things was very interesting was the sound of, it was me and one other gentleman, we were sitting in here doing a little investigation of sorts. We were sitting here quietly, and there was the sound of something in the room. It sounded like someone being choked or suffocated. It was really interesting. Gasping for air, and almost like a gurgling sound as they were choking on their own saliva. It was was an uneasy feeling. It really was, because you would think with the church, well, you wouldn't expect that a lot of times. But what place does a choking person have in church? I don't know. This is a Methodist place. They do a lot of cooking, so maybe someone was hacking on a chicken bone. You never know.
Maybe.
Well, for me, I've captured a lot or seen a lot of the toys that we have here falling or moving while we're present. Noises behind you is something I frequently encounter here, especially if you're here alone. You'll hear, something slam or something behind you out here in the chapel area. And as far as what the other folks have experienced on like the live streams has been like things moving in the camera, toys falling, slams, talking, things like that.
There was a board back here that just fell on the floor.
I had that prop. It's been prop for a while.
Well, I just decided it went boom. Anyway, this is one of our IR lights that I build. Basically, it's a dual 12 volt with a tripod, and we're going to light this whole place up for the night. And while I was setting it up, this board that was against the wall, all of a sudden it fell on the floor. So I don't know what happened with that, but it could have been just vibration, or it could have been supernatural.
In July, we streamed our investigation live on our YouTube channel. The first part of that stream took place in the basement, in which I ran the PSB-7 with no one down there. After that session, we had set a device on the floor next to one of the pews. This device has a built-in geophone, EMF detector, and temperature gauge. Do you hear that? It's like a... I don't know if that was Justin or... Alright, Robin. Okay, he ain't moving. The device on the floor was picking up EMF when all of a sudden the doll on the piano fell. Since nobody's posting in the comment there, or in the section. Holy shit. Is that doll that fell off of that? Yeah. That's the second time tonight that Robin Williams has gotten knocked off that piano. Yeah. Yeah, he hit. I wasn't looking at it. I heard the piano strike, and I was like, I figured Robin Williams. Let's try this again. Robin. Having a hard time putting them up here. Alright, Rob Williams is up there. He's not on the edge. As you can see, he's not sitting on the edge. So if he falls down again, it'll be interesting. Thank you. After placing the doll back, the EMF intensified.
Watching out the geophone is going on.
No, the geophone is orange.
It'll be orange and it'll be below the blue light. So my only concern is if that part of the broadcast could also
Yeah, I was going off with the phone downstairs in the basement. Can you make it go off in 2 spurts? Like boop, boop. Can you do that for us, please? Just 2 really good ones, though. Like 1.
Need one more.
Like to see them back to back, though. 1, 2. Come on, give me 2 right now. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Can you give me 2 real quick ones, like boom, boom, just touch it, go blue light, blue light. There's light. Okay, let it go out. Turn it, hit it again. Come on. I know you can do it. Grab hold of that thing and wrestle it around.
Can you make it go steady? Like,
Just grab it and hold it.
that's Justin walking. Keep it up. Don't let it stop. You know, I was thinking that there was like a current running there, but it's not doing those little beeps now in between.
Where is the talking place?
Would it be better if we went to the balcony? Give us blue lights if you want us to go to the balcony. Okay, if you want behind the stage area, the room back there, give us the blue lights if you want us to go back there. If you'd rather us stay here in this room, we'd like to see the blue lights.
Angel says basement.
If you want us to go back down to the basement, come up here and set those blue lights off. If you want us to leave, come up here and set those blue lights off for us. It's crazy how dead that thing is now.
Yeah.
After all that, and it's dead. I had originally thought that there was an active line under the floor, but after a few minutes, the source of the EMF disappeared. During the live stream, we allowed someone to participate in a phone-in EVP session. This is when we have somebody who is not at the location conduct an EVP session through a cell phone. We weren't able to come up with anything conclusive, but the person on the phone, as well as a few people in the chat, felt that they had heard things. Sitting in the sanctuary, we were able to hear something. What was that? What was that?
Ground.
That was your stomach growling?
No, it said it sounded like a ground.
Yeah, that sounded like a gurgle.
Yeah, it was over that way.
EMS going off. Mute that, John. John, mute it. Started getting a little action here. Can you do that again? Can you light that up? They did. that sound again?
What's that behind you?
I heard that. I hope you guys didn't tell me.
I heard it. I heard it.
Can you please make that sound again? You know, it's funny, I said I was going to go to the kitchen because I was hearing sounds and stuff like that. And then it starts making sounds over here, like trying to keep me from the kitchen. Distracting.
Push the broom over anytime, dude. It's been up since Saturday.
Just as it all got quiet, we started talking about going to the basement. And as we did so, something crashed and reverberated from the stairwell. But unfortunately, around this time, we started having issues with the live stream. Holy shit! What the fuck was that? That's John. John didn't do shit. Hey, what about that book upstairs? That's what I thought. I thought it was downstairs in the basement.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. That was awesome.
Fine, I wouldn't. We didn't even record audio at that point.
Yeah, you got it, mine.
Okay, remember the stairs downward, forward. Yes. That one. Hey, I think I fell.
In pipe?
The pipe's not there. You guys can vouch for me.
Don't ask me.
That's a board up there, guys, in case you're wondering. That's a board. That's a board. It's all wood in here.
That's some kind of build pump.
But that was not on the steps. Anybody that was here at the live stream earlier when I went down in the basement will know. Alright. Let's get after it. Because I had gone down there earlier in the night, I knew that this pipe elbow wasn't there before. This led me to believe that this is what had made the sound. Hello?
I think we should all try like, and we get the vibration. All of a sudden the lights start going.
That thing starts lighting up.
The choir chimes in, and all of a sudden it's full on disembodied choir, and we're just into the moment.
For those watching on this video, the reason we do stuff like that, number one, it kills the boredom of just sitting in the dark. But number two,
We're freaking crazy.
I was going to say, once you get relaxed at an investigation and you do stuff like that,
Oh, no doubt.
it seems to bring out different energies or personalities.
Yeah, I mean, we're feeding them with a whole new,
Positive energy.
you know. Before that, I mean, I could see how it would be like talking about Ben's, I'm Ben Stein, dry red eyes. We have to feed him with the fun energy.
Let me give you some of my fun. Funergy?
Funergy.
That is now trademarked 2018. If there's anybody here who would like to try some of my Funergy, we've got plenty of it.
So we got any spirits still awake, or did you guys all go to bed? Are there any spirits here that have a really sad story you'd like to tell us?
See, John and I, we're just visitors here. You may have seen us once before, but we didn't get to sit here and talk to you, and we didn't get to listen for you. But we're here now. We're here to talk to you. We're here to listen. How do you feel that there's no service going on in here anymore? At one point, Justin and I began to see a shadow breaking the light near the kitchen.
Revolutionary War.
I know. That blue light is from
Civil
the
War.
periscope. Whatever blocked it out had to have walked between the periscope and there.
Yeah?
The periscope is on the banister. On the flashlight, but
I see. That's what you're talking about.
it's on the very last rail, I think, of the banister, so it shines up on the wall. So whatever walked through, whatever blocked it out, walks behind that.
Yeah, it was behind her phone.
And it wouldn't be a mount, I mean, it's up on the banister.
Well, and it's raised up too.
Right. Thank you for allowing us to see you in that light.
I'm going to do something. I'm going to move the camera behind us so it looks over. So you guys get to see what we see. And they can get, it's got all the view down there, and then it's got where we're sitting. What was that?
That wasn't you?
No, that his or that's...
Yeah, it went.
That was not me.
I thought it was you doing that on
No.
your pants.
It was
like
longer.
right here.
It was longer than a swipe, but I heard like it's... Or
I heard it. I just thought it was you doing the.
No. We're sitting. What was that? We're sitting. What was that?
Okay. Well, maybe that got picked up.
Somebody wants us to be quiet, maybe. If you want us to be quiet, shush us again. I hope that picked up.
I hope so, because I heard it. I just thought, to me, it sounded more of a. But. So this is where I see the shadow figure, just so you know. I've seen it here two or three times. So, I'll put that over there. The last time I saw it was just a few days ago. It was right here, doing a little bit of cleanup and such. And I went over this way and saw it completely block out the window. As I was looking at it, it wasn't even a side view thing, peripheral vision. It was straight on, and it was dark. Dark enough that it blocked out the whole window. Is the person responsible for creating a shadow in this corner? Are they available to run into that corner now and see if we can see them or hear them, feel them? I placed a light in that corner, so maybe we can see you.
So far tonight we've been hearing a lot of noises, just kind of coming from everywhere. We did hear what sounded like a man's voice. But it's been an interesting night. The live stream, we got to see some things happen, but the evidence will tell. Still got to go through a lot of audio, some of this video. So
The night was interesting. The strange sounds and moved objects had an undetermined source, but there was enough experiences to leave us scratching our heads. We can only assume that if someone was still here, they were just letting us know. As for Justin and Rob, the duo is continuing their efforts in preserving the church and its haunting history.
Well, as with our other locations, we definitely want to preserve everything and keep it in its natural state as much as possible, and just keep it from falling down or from someone tearing it up, vandalizing, things like that. That's always first on our list, because it's sad to see historic buildings just torn down left and right. For us history lovers, that definitely takes top position.
The church is probably going to be kind of a paranormal spot for us to do events. Not only just paranormal, we kind of hope to do a lot of different things, from karaoke maybe even to a movie night down here. But we definitely want to do paranormal investigations here, because I think there's a lot of activity to capture and to be experienced.
No, I definitely think it's worth a look, if you're into history or into the paranormal. It's not often that we come across old churches, to do research in, paranormal research. So it's definitely, it should be on your list for that, if nothing else, just to put it off of your bucket list and say you've done church. Because it's an interesting feeling. As with anything, every day, every moment, we can't predict with paranormal happenings. But that when it is on, it's on. I mean, we've had a crazy week last week with the investigations and the dolls being thrown around, and like I said, the choking sounds. So you never know. But to me, it was interesting.